Hello? Yeah. Yeah, we're recording. We were recording. Are you at home? No, we just
Are
started.
you at home?
We just started recording. We were just talking.
We got distracted.
Yeah. Why? Where are you?
Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Low High Trips, and once again today we have Sanya with us for the second episode. Actually, it depends. I might release this episode first, who knows?
Which one is easier to edit out?
It depends on how we
Edit it.
go on with this episode, to be honest with you. But yeah, speaking of personalities, right before we started recording this podcast, just to give a little bit of context, Sanya and I, we are both technically based on the 16 personalities website or the Myers-Briggs type indicator. We are both categorized under INFJ, which is introverted, intuitive, feeling, and judgment. I do my best to avoid talking about the MBTI just because I feel like I don't have a full grasp of it. But I don't know, despite having the same personality type, obviously speaking, we were saying that we are quite different. But I'm just curious to know, what do you think is our primary difference?
Ooh. Well, to start off, I was not this introverted before, I started uni. So I was always EN, and then I became IN, which I think is the biggest difference.
Right.
Introvert, extroverted. But I think at the moment, the biggest difference would be, can't even think.
Yeah. Okay, you know what? How about we just dive into that for a little bit? Because
Yeah.
to me, my idea of introversion and extroversion is, if I consider myself an introvert, it means that I recharge from withdrawing from social interactions. That's how I recharge. So it's like a personal thing. But to me, an extroverted person would probably recharge or feel energized through social interactions. So it's like
Yeah.
two different ways.
Yeah.
Would you say that
Yeah, I agree.
that was the cycle?
Yeah, I think if I use that definition, then I think I was never extroverted.
Okay.
But I think everyone around me growing up would be like, oh, you're so loud. You're always so talking to people. You're social. So I always thought that I was extroverted. But I think at night when I'm quiet and I'm by myself, that's like the best time of my day. I feel like I'm peace. I'm at peace. I'm relaxed. I have energy again. I feel happier. I feel like it's rude. I feel rude because I'm like, oh, people want to have a chat with me. But even now, I think that was something when I first started dating, it was difficult because my partner is quite extroverted. So
And I'm just curious as well, what's your go-to bubble tea order?
ooh, okay, this is very controversial.
Yep.
Ever since I was younger, because growing up in Asia, I would drink bubble tea a lot, but it's always been strawberry green tea with strawberry popping pearls.
Wow.
And I know people don't call it, I know people now are like, oh, it's not authentic bubble tea.
Yeah.
But for me, I don't think I drink bubble tea because I'm like, oh, it's authentic or not. I'm just drinking bubble tea because
you
I like
it.
it.
As simple as that, yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like I would get a lot of judgment for not loving milk-based bubble teas.
Yeah.
But I just feel like I don't like it that
I mean,
much.
fuck it. It's just your go-to order. It doesn't mean,
Yeah. Oh, let's have a look.
All right, go for it.
Which one do you like?
Previously I got the oolong tea.
Ooh.
And because I normally go with 0% sugar and less ice, I felt like maybe 0% is not the best idea.
Okay.
Because Casey, I think she got 50% or 30%, and that actually tasted a little bit better. But yeah,
I'll try matcha nut tea. Isn't matcha good there for them?
I have no idea. I've only had it once. But you really need to try the nut cream.
Okay.
So the nut cream essentially is just like the cheese foam.
Oh.
Yeah, but they actually do it in a plant-based style. So they actually use nut milk, which is I don't know, a mixture of, I have no idea, man. Hazelnut, almond, macadamia, whatever you want to call it. A mixture of everything.
So it's called nutty cream.
Yeah, nut cream or whatever. not the best name, to be honest.
Because I saw there it said matcha nutty one with
With nut cream, yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's so interesting. And it's all made out of different milks. Ooh.
No, it's all made with their own house-made milk, which is nut milk. Like it's like a mixture of nuts.
Yeah, yeah,
You know,
yeah,
there's
that's
like almond. Yeah.
Yeah. That's so good. But yeah, no, I know I was listening to you guys' podcast and you're like,
Yeah.
I'm not really a sugar
Yeah.
person,
Yeah.
which I was like, that's actually the biggest difference between us because I have the sweetest tooth ever.
For real.
For real. Like I am, but I like sweet stuff, but it can't be overly sweet.
Okay.
Like, you know, like icing on cakes. I wouldn't eat that,
Right.
but I would eat the cake because
Would you scrap the icing away and eat the cake?
always.
The top layer, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Fair.
I'm not like, that's why I really like the cake I got Casey because the icing is not too sweet. I really like that.
Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. I'm asking her to get whichever one she wants.
She's gonna punch you. I think that's what, I think like one thing she probably hates about both of us.
Yes.
Anything you want, anything you want.
I think the both of us are like, borderline people pleaser. It's like, you know what? What about you? What do you want? And I'll see if I can adjust to what you want.
Yeah, and I feel like I'm a closeted people pleaser though. Because I feel like I want to come across as someone who doesn't want to please people.
100%. Yeah.
But internally, that's all I'm thinking about. Which is like a really bad mental space to be in.
Right.
Because you're always presenting like, oh, I don't care. Like, I'm living my own life. I'll do whatever I want.
Yeah.
And I think that's only the side I show in my relationship.
Yeah.
But then other than that, in front of everyone, I'm like just like trying to mentally please everyone.
Yeah.
Like
okay.
everyone.
Interesting.
I think because I'm really comfortable stage with SP,
Yeah.
where I'm kind of like, you know what? I'm happy. Like, I'm happy to make the decision. Because he's the same. He can't make decisions too.
Okay.
And we both are the worst. Like, we'll be like, oh, whatever you want. Whatever you want. You want to have brunch? Yeah, I want to have brunch. What do you want? Whatever you want. It's like, oh, like someone make a decision.
Okay.
So we end up always doing stuff we've already done.
Okay.
Just because.
Comfort zone, and you know how it goes.
Yeah.
You know, like, the entire routine of the thing.
Yes. Yeah.
You know what to expect.
So, like, we're really into, like, plane spotting right now. So that's all we do. We get, like, a coffee. We go watch planes. And I feel like we're really, like, habitual people. We're, like, yeah, the comfort zone of, like, knowing exactly how it's going to go down. And it's like, yeah.
Can you dive a little bit deeper and elaborate about plane spotting for someone who doesn't really know what plane spotting is?
So plane spotting is basically like you go near airport, but like it's like kind of like hidden spots and like hidden areas where most people wouldn't know, except people who love planes and are nerds. And then like
Plane nerds.
Plane nerds. And then you just see like the landing and the takeoff. And because my partner is a pilot, so he loves seeing like, it's a good landing. It's not. Which I don't know how you can tell from like 50,000 meters away. But sure, go
Just see
ahead.
like an insect, just like...
Yeah. But I think I find it really beautiful watching it because it always like fascinates me how like such a big object
Yeah.
is being controlled by two people and like a lot of physics and like maths basically.
And the number of lives that these two people are carrying on their shoulders.
Yeah. In a sense, it's scarier than doctors.
Yeah, as in, if you consider the quantity.
Yeah. But yeah, that it scares me too because I don't have that control. I don't know about you, but part of my personality is big. Like I'm big on control.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, like I want to control all like everything that's happening in my life, but I can't, which makes it really impossible to live a life without stressing out every day.
Yeah.
And that's the reason I hate flying because I'm not in control.
Because someone else is completely in control of how this happens once you board the plane until they land.
Yeah.
Of course, yeah. Oh,
Yeah, and
crazy.
that's why I love sitting by the window because in my head I'm like, I can break the window and I can jump off. Which is like, no, you're not going to jump from 18,000 feet and make it. Like,
But you still have control when you choose to do that.
Yeah, which is like why I hate being in the aisle or the middle because I'm like, I don't have the control. You know, especially in the middle, you have no control. Other people are controlling. But yeah, I hate flying for that reason that you don't have the control.
I absolutely hate sitting on the aisle or somewhere in the middle because every time someone wants to go pee, you have to move and you're like, fuck, man. Like, I'd rather be the one that, intrudes into people's personal time and space.
But we're so people pleaser that we're not going to go pee. We're going to hold
I'm gonna
it
hold
in.
that pee until like I have bladder issues.
Yeah, and I hold it in till I see the people next to me getting up to pee. And then I'll be like, oh, I'll pee too. And then I'm like, because then they'll not be upset with me, which is so dumb because they're strangers that I'm never going to see again.
Exactly, yeah.
But I'm so worried about they're going to hate me
Yeah.
if I make them stand up to go to pee. And it's like, like this way of thinking is just so like tiring at times.
Yeah.
And then I was having a chat with Casey, and she was just saying like, a lot of people like our personality and they actually think that they have our personality. And I'm like, why would anyone want this? Like, I wouldn't wish anyone to be this big of an overthinker that all your life you're just thinking like, am I pleasing everyone else? Is everyone else happy? Everyone else happy? But at the same time, you don't like being loud in social settings with a lot of people.
Basically standing out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then you feel like you have to, just to make sure everyone is comfortable in the room. And then you're like stressed out because I don't know about you, but for me, I'm always like, I don't like being the loudest person in the room. Unless it's like the group of people I'm absolutely closest to.
Yeah.
But then I feel like if I see two people not like having fun, I'll be super loud. I'll be super embarrassing just to make sure they're comfortable and they're laughing.
Oh, okay.
Which is so bad because I'm like, I'd rather be the clown if everyone else in the room is happy at my own expense. But then I go home and I regret everything I say. And I'm like, I talk too much. Like, yeah. And then like, I think a couple of years ago, like last year, I got really big into drinking. And like the embarrassing drinking.
Okay.
Because when I drink, I'm more relaxed. And then I can like be a better judge of like, that person's not comfortable, not talking. All right, okay. I'll talk and I'll overcompensate just so you
feel more comfortable not talking.
Yeah. Or just feel comfortable being in that environment. But then like I'm the one feeling drained because I'm talking all the time and I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
You know?
Like you're having the sole responsibility of pleasing everyone.
Yeah.
Except for yourself, unfortunately. Yeah.
At like your own expense. So like even though you're socializing and you're getting to know like other people, you're like stressed out the whole time. And then you go home and you're like, like you can finally like breathe.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's so bad. Yeah. And I felt like I need to be more extroverted because everyone around me is like living their lives on social media. And like you see like everyone's hanging out, going out, and you feel the pressure that fuck, maybe I should be doing that too. But you know internally you don't enjoy doing it.
Okay.
So you're like in that constant battle that should I be going out and socializing because everyone's doing it, or should I do what makes me happy? And like, yeah, I feel like that's why I kind of have like a love-hate relationship with like Instagram, especially. Like, every time I'm on Instagram, like I think I'm still quite young. In the sense that I don't have the maturity to like see other people live their life and not compare their lives to me or mine. Like I still compare, which is so bad because, you know, you're not supposed to. Like everyone's like in their own journey and stuff, but I do. And then I feel like I'm in that constant like battle of like headspace where I'm like, probably I'm like not living a good enough life.
So you actually feel that I wouldn't say peer pressure, but more like you do compare yourself to people that you see on Instagram?
Yeah.
Only people you know or including people that you don't know?
I think mainly people I know.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's quite interesting. I feel like my people pleasing, or at least that's like the stereotype, you know, for being, you know, a person who's an INFJ. But essentially I feel like I'm probably overcompensating right now because I felt like I've lived the most of my life not having control or stamping my authority, if that makes sense, or saying what I want or to make someone feel uncomfortable for my own need or wants, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
As in like I've always like allowed people to like steamroll over me.
Yeah. Okay.
That right now I feel like I'm overcompensating in the sense that no, fuck, you know, social pressure, I'm gonna go out of my way. But here's the thing, I'm not going out of my way to go against rules and social norms.
Yep.
But actually, you know, I have no idea what I'm talking about because of the fact that as a teenager, I've always went against social norms.
Yeah.
And whenever people are like, you should do this because of this. And my parents, their reasonings are typically quite bad. Where for me, I'm a very curious person. So every time they say something, I want to know the justification to it. They're like, don't do this.
Same.
I'm like, can you tell me why? And they're like, no, you have to listen because like this is the rule. I'm like, by who? Who sets the rule? Like this is our house. Like it's your rule.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, this is like the rule. And
The
I'm like,
society's rule.
yeah, you have to tell me, you have to like give me more context, you have to give me more reasons. Like, if this is society's rule and it doesn't make sense, then why the fuck are we following it?
Yeah. Oh, I'm 100% same as that. I have that constant battle too of like following the social norms and not following the social norms.
It's like a pendulum swinging.
Yeah. So it's always one extreme end to another extreme end, which is so annoying.
Yep.
Because there's no there's no middle. Like, you know, exactly like you. Yeah, at times I'm like, I'm not going to socialize. I'm going to do whatever I want to do. But then there are times when I'm like, maybe I'm not doing good enough. Like maybe I'm not being good enough for other people. And like, you know, I should be trying harder.
Yeah, like hitting your social KPI as a friend.
Yes.
Or as like whatever role that you play, like social role.
Yeah.
As a daughter.
Yeah.
As
So
a friend,
like,
a partner. Whatever.
yeah. And I feel a couple of weeks ago, I wasn't the same. Like I was like, all I was focusing on was like, oh, fuck friends, fuck everything. Like I'm happy hanging out with my partner. So I'm just going to keep doing that. And that's what I did for like, I want to say like 2 months. Like all I was doing was like every weekend just
Constant,
flying. Yeah. Just I want to hang out with this guy. That's all I want to do. But then like now I'm on the other end where I'm like, oh, maybe I should be socializing more with other people who are not my partner. And then now I'm kind of like, oh, maybe like I'm missing out. But I think I just need to like find a good middle ground.
A balance, right? I think the main similarity between the both of us is that we find it difficult to understand what's the right balance.
Yes.
Because I feel like people like Casey, they don't have that struggle. Like to her, I'm always like, but what's the right balance? Like how often am I supposed to see my friends?
Yeah.
Like what if I'm spending too much time with you? As in, that's not an issue, but it's more like, I don't know what's the right balance. It's like someone needs to tell me like, what's the rule?
Yes.
Same. But there is no rule.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. I feel like I have a relatively good self-awareness, and I think you do on your end as well. But when it comes to like hitting the right balance, I feel like I personally do not know what's best for me.
Yep.
I don't know what's my capacity. I feel like every time I do like, you know, from going out every day to staying at home every day, I get burnout either way.
Yes.
And I just don't know how to find the right balance that I feel content with.
I'm 100% spot on. Yes. And then like, you know how you're comparing to Casey, that's what I do. Like not compare, but I'm kind of like, oh, you know what to do. Maybe I should like do what you are kind of doing.
Yeah.
But then when I try to copy like my partner, I'm kind of like, oh, fuck that, man. You're like next level. You can like meet like 5 people in a week and you'll be okay. I can't do that. Like 2 days and I'm done.
Yep.
You know? But then sometimes I'm like, yeah, it's so hard because you're like, oh, wait, this person can do 5 times. Maybe I'm supposed to do 5 times too to please everyone. But then I'm like, but I don't want to do that because I want to do what I want to do. And then like, it's just one extreme to another.
100%, yeah.
And it's just so chaotic because you feel like everyone else knows the formula except you.
Yeah.
And you can't figure it out.
Yeah. And the thing is that, I don't know, by even interviewing, like interrogating them, they themselves don't know. They're just like, yeah, this is it. Like, you know when you know. I'm like, I never know.
I never know, yeah. And like, my sister's quite social too. So from like her perspective, like she's always eating out, always out and about. She's either doing that or working. So I'm kind of like, am I supposed to be doing that? Like, am I not doing enough? But for me, like after work, I'm dead. Like I'm so tired socializing and talking to people.
Yeah.
And then there are people who can still go out. And I'm like, wait, am I supposed to be doing that? Like, it's so like hard. And like, no matter what you do, yeah, exactly. I feel burnout. Yeah, like sometimes at home too much. And I'm like, oh shit, like I didn't do any socializing. And sometimes I'm out too much and I'm like, oh shit, I want a downtime. And I wasted all my weekend doing everything but like chilling by myself and relaxing. Yeah.
I feel like either way, it's like opportunity calls. Yes. If I go out too much, I'll be like, oh man, or like the grass is always greener on the other side.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep. And I've always been the type of person that I'm like, oh, I don't want to like think about the grass. I just want to focus on like my grass.
Yeah.
But then I'm like,
fuck your grass.
But I feel like, and it's so easy said than done.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how other people do that.
Yeah.
And maybe everyone's thinking the same thing.
Maybe. Who knows? Yeah.
But we're probably just thinking at like steroid level, like extreme.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so hard. And I feel like I can't even sometimes do impromptu stuff. I need to plan. I need to have like a rough plan.
100%.
Yeah, but I think at the moment I'm becoming more impromptu.
Yeah, which I'm actually challenging myself to be more spontaneous.
Yes, same.
I feel like I'm a complete control freak. Like if you know how much control that I actually need to feel secure.
Yep.
or to feel like I'm ready for something,
Yep.
it's like it's never there. Like it will never hit my limit.
Yes.
I'll never feel ready for anything I feel.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yes, I do. I actually do, because I feel the same. Because like my partner's in Sydney, and like I'm like, oh, but I do miss him. I want to go visit Sydney. But it's so hard for me to make impromptu plans.
Yeah.
But at the moment, like, you know how you said opportunity and versus cost.
Yep.
At the moment, I'm really focusing on the opportunity and being like, fuck the cost, you know? But then like, I might be at the airport and it hits me that fuck, like I didn't plan. I'm not in like control of everything.
Yeah.
But then like, I just try to focus on the opportunity so much. And at times I'm kind of like, oh, that feels great. But then at night I'm like overthinking everything I did that I didn't have control over throughout the day.
Yeah.
And then it hits me and I'm like, oh, I can't do it again. Like I need to be more of a control in my life. Like I'm losing that control. And then I feel like it's such a bad cycle again because...
Yes. Very relevant, by the way, just saying.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Like, do you feel the same?
100%. Sometimes I don't get it because the thing is that me being spontaneous, like for example, when you mentioned that you probably like spontaneously bought a one-way flight ticket, let's just say,
yep.
or even like a return trip, whatever, to Sydney, right?
Yep.
To visit SB. During that process, probably there isn't too much of a hassle anyway. Like you don't find things are bad, as in things are good. But the thing is that you overthink, you're like, oh man, but I didn't have control. But the thing is that it didn't matter.
Yeah.
Because it's not like you not having control, something bad happened.
Yeah.
If that makes sense?
Yep. Yeah. And because I've been like, and this is so weird too, because I've been impromptu about doing the trip so much that now it's part of my habit. So now I feel like I have control. I know exactly where I have to park my car. I know exactly like which, you know, way I have to walk to the bus that's like from the car park to the airport. Like, you know, so now I'm like, oh, I am in control, but because I put myself out there a couple of times. And then like, that kind of makes me feel happy because I'm like, oh, I gave it a go. And like, now it's habit. But now it's like, it's habit. So I don't mind doing it. So I'm again like being back in my comfort zone.
Yeah.
Like I'm not experimenting anymore. And I feel like most people don't even think about that stuff. They just do it and then move on.
Exactly, yeah.
But
like,
I'm
what's
like,
the point? You know what I mean? As in like, it happened, nothing bad happened, everything moved on pretty smoothly.
Yep.
Like, what's the point of like backtracking and reflecting over every decision that we made, knowing that those decisions gave us less and less control?
Yeah.
But you get what I mean? It's like retrospective.
Yep. Oh, and reflection. I feel like, I don't know about you, I'm big on reflection.
Same.
Like I have to.
I preach self-reflection, just saying.
Same. And I feel like, I feel like I do that a lot. Like I really like rethink my life decisions, and I go like, well, would I do it again if something else happened similar? Would I make the same reaction? What would I change? I either do that or I repress completely. I completely repress if something didn't go my way.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm never thinking about it again, which is again like a really bad way of like reacting to situations. Like to give an example, I was thinking about like an episode you did in the past about like exes and toxic relationships and things like that. Okay. And I was like, and toxic friendships too. And you guys were talking about your way of reacting to that situation.
Is it the humanizing, demonizing episode?
Yep, that one. And I was thinking about myself and I was just like, I haven't dehumanized anyone. I haven't. And that's because like thinking back, if something bad happens to me, I repress it and act as if it didn't happen and I move on. So I just put it in a little like vault of like bullshit and I just like, okay, I'm going to think about it and I'll move on, which is like a very like unhealthy way, I guess, which is like a completely different way from you both.
Yeah. Has that worked for you though so far?
Yeah, because I actually don't remember. Like, I don't remember. Like I actually don't think I've like dehumanized any of my friendships. Like, even if I've drifted away from people, I don't really think about them at all. Like, I'm really like out of sight, out of mind.
Okay.
Sometimes.
Do you like consciously not think of them? Or your brain is just like, yeah, I just don't see them, so I naturally don't think of them as much?
Like, I just don't think, I forgot about them. Like, they just don't exist for me anymore. Like, I don't know. I feel like I forget about people if they're not in front of me. And if I'm not talking to them, like they just disappeared from the back of my head.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's why I was like, oh, like that's probably a big difference between us. Because you were the type of person like I need to please even the person that I'm not like part of my life or like dehumanize them.
I wouldn't say pleasing though. I feel like the people pleasing tendencies have definitely waned throughout the years.
Yep.
It's I wouldn't say people pleasing. I would say it's more like people understanding. Like I always try to be like,
Empathetic.
yeah, it's not like I understand right now. I feel like I always try to empathize with people, and I always want to see like where you're coming from. Like let's just say I had a really toxic friendship with a specific friend, right?
Yep.
I always try to think like, what happened that made you feel this way towards me?
Yeah.
What was that specific something that I did, or specific habit that I have, or what boundaries that I crossed? So I'm just like, oh, okay, so that's your level. Or probably I'm just like, oh man, maybe I was a pretty shit person myself.
Yep.
Or it was just you having, unreasonable expectations of me.
Yep.
So I don't know, I feel like by having that approach, to see where people are coming from, it helps me better expand my knowledge of people and to be like, oh, okay, probably next time I know what to do then, but in the end of the day, you know what? Everyone's different.
Yeah.
Everyone's like people are subjective, right?
Yeah.
Like, you just like personalities, you can't categorize them into like boxes.
Yeah.
So like for me, these 16 personalities that we talked about, they are like really good indicators. I feel like a lot of people are arguing that it's not valid nor reliable. But first of all, we have to remember once again, it's a self-measure.
Yeah.
And with self-measure, I would assume that a majority of the population I'm not too sure the grammar, the right, I don't know. But yeah, they don't have the adequate self-awareness
Yes.
to be able to proceed with the test and get an accurate result.
100%. Yep.
Yeah, and it also depends on like your mental state. And we know that, with mental state of people,
Yep.
it fluctuates.
Yep.
Which is very normal, just to say, because personally to me, I feel like when my mental health fluctuates on good or bad, sometimes I'm like, oh, I had like a breakdown this week. It means that my mental state is really bad. But in the end of the day, when I think about it, wait, all circumstances involved, considering the full picture and the full context of everything, it's perfectly natural to break down when it's appropriate to break down.
And you're reflecting, which is like big, but I have a quick question for you.
Go for it.
Do you think empathy and like overemphasizing is part of people pleasing?
Ooh.
Because you're like trying to think from their perspective and you're trying to still keep them happy because you're like, oh, I understand your perspective because like I get it where you're coming from. Do you think it's part of it?
I think there are definitely overlaps.
Yeah.
I know. I mean, as in these two definitely overlaps. Oh, suddenly I just can't English.
Yeah.
Because I think I realize I tend to stutter once I start thinking, like when my mind goes on overdrive.
Yeah.
And that's when my mouth, like, it slows down a bit. Like, as in, like, it couldn't catch up.
Yep.
Does that make sense? Like, my thoughts are going way too fast.
Yep.
But I would say yes. I'm trying to think of a smart way to say this, but my mind just can't unpack it at the moment. Anyhow, going back to your question, I would say, like, when it comes to empathizing, it's more towards, like, of course, understanding their point of view, right? And people pleasing, it's more like you know where they're coming from and you know how to make it better for them at your expense. So for me, like, that is sort of like, it could potentially be a symptom from empathizing. Or probably like you can't people please without empathizing with people.
There you go. Yep. I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
Yep. Like you need to be big on empathizing to be able to be a people pleaser.
Yeah.
Because you can't please people without not understanding their perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. I agree. Same page.
Yeah. Sometimes I feel like, empathy is like it's so cringe to say this as well. It's sort of like a double-edged sword.
Yes.
Like it's both a blessing and a curse.
Yeah.
Because I have definitely met people with close to zero empathy tendency.
Okay.
And life seems good for them because they have zero regards for people or whatever. I don't know. As in, they make decisions knowing that this is the best for them.
Yeah, I wish I was selfish in that sense because like how you're like trying to say like, oh, I try to fight the social norms and I want to do that for myself.
Yeah.
I kind of want to do that too, but I feel like I just get stuck between like, I want to fight the social norms, I want to be selfish, but I just can't. I feel like I still have to like make sure everyone's happy with me. And I feel like I wish I didn't have that much empathy per se and people pleasing, because I feel like it's so important to be selfish in this world.
100%, yeah.
Yeah. And it's so annoying that I'm not. I wish I were.
Okay, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
You mentioned that you have the tendency to people please, right? Like, what is the motive of that? Like, why do you think you want to do it?
I think when ooh, good one. Because my first reaction was like, oh, when I see other people happy with me, I'm happy. But that's unselfish in a sense.
Yeah.
Because then I'm pleasing other people for myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I do that. I want to see other people be happy because of me.
Do you want the credits? Like, do you want the full credit? Like, they know that they're happy because of you?
No.
Okay.
No, I think that's stress for me. That's really stressful for me. Because then I'm like, that's why I hate when my friends are like, oh, like, thank you so much for talking to me when I was stressed out. Like, I can always, like, trust you to be there for me.
Yeah.
Because then I'm stressed out because I'm like, what if next time I don't do a good enough job for them?
Yeah.
So I can't please them in future. So if I get the credit, I feel like I have to keep doing it and I need to keep doing a better job. So I'd rather them, like, not give me credit. So then, like, I don't have that expectation with myself to keep pleasing them at a better and better level. Okay. Does that make sense?
Yes. Do you think you people please because you want to make a social impact in the world? At least within your circle. Like, your presence is significant.
Oh, I don't know. I actually don't know. I don't think I want to make a social impact in the world per se, but I just feel like I do want to people please if someone, like, smiles or is happy for a couple of minutes.
Yeah.
Like, and I think that's important for me because I feel like if I'm happy, I want other people to be happy too. I don't know.
I agree.
Yeah,
it's like a community thing.
Yeah.
Funny, yeah.
Yeah, I definitely don't want to be like, oh, like, I want to change the world, make it a better place. Like, I really was that type of person growing up. But I've kind of realized that even if I can make one person smile a bit more or laugh a bit more throughout the day, I'm kind of like doing my job. Like, I'm like Marvel's next superhero. I'm like making one person smile at a time. But no, definitely, I think initially I thought I was selfish to make other people happy for myself, which I am. But I think I don't want the credit because with the credit comes expectation of maintaining that.
Yeah. Okay. It's like a role that's being assigned to you once you receive the credit.
Yeah.
Or like the expectation. You've done it once, you know.
Yeah.
Come on, man, Sanya.
Yeah, like, and next time if, like, I see you cry and, like, I'm trying to make it better and you still don't stop crying, I'm gonna go home and, like, be like, fuck, I didn't do a good enough job. Like, and then I'll just make my entire life's motive, like, to just make you happy.
Okay, yeah.
Which is, like, kind of self-destructing because...
Yeah, it's like an assignment.
And no one gave me that assignment.
Yeah.
Literally no one cares.
Self-inflicted assignment.
Yeah, and I feel like it's such a, like, chaotic mental space to be in. That's why, like, when I found out that other people want this personality and, like, I just don't get it. Like, why would you want this? Like, just, I would rather be that ignorant person down the street who doesn't care. Like, honestly, that's so much better than to always be in this, like, chaotic headspace.
Yeah. You know, it's a running meme in the MBTI community because there are sort of like, I don't know, information or data out there which states INFJs are the rarest personality in the world. So it's actually a running meme right now that everyone's a fucking INFJ. So it's like,
I'm special.
Yeah, no, there's like, I'll be honest with you, everyone that I ask, like, oh, what's your personality when you take the MBTI? More than 50% come back to me saying that, I scored INFJ. I'm like, oh, okay, cool.
Oh.
But I don't know, I feel like there's so many layers to like
I didn't even know it was the rarest one.
It's supposed to be. I personally believe that
but
it's
somehow
not.
you just found out everyone.
Yeah, everyone.
You're like magnetizing all the rare people to come out of their like little swarms and be like, yep, me too.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know it was the rarest one.
Yeah, but I don't know. I do identify with like, you know, the memes and the explanations. By the way, if you're very interested in the MBTI, you know, whatever, blah, 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 go read more about functions because MBTI is a very like surface level of the whole thing. So if you read up about cognitive functions, which I actually want to have a chat with you right after this podcast episode, it's way deeper than that. It's not just like, oh, I'm introverted. In fact, it has nothing to do with that. Like your I, your E has nothing to do with how introverted or extroverted you are. That's not the main judgment. That's not the main thing that they are categorizing you under. It's completely different.
Interesting.
So it's cognitive functions. But I'll definitely have a chat with you about that after the podcast episode, which is running a bit long once again. Would you like to wrap it up?
Yeah, sure. Guys, just be you. Don't try to be some rare personality because you think that's cool.
Yeah.
Just be honest to yourselves and don't be over chaotic like us. Don't overthink. Just don't be overthinker and people pleaser at the same time.
I think one advice that I would say for myself as well is sometimes when I feel like I'm in a rut, when I am very in my head. So there's a term that I use quite often with Casey, which is when I'm looping, and I'll explain that to you a bit later. When I'm just looping, I realize that I'm just in my head and just constantly going through the spiral of overthinking and just like breaking down a certain something that happened or certain feeling that I'm feeling and just trying to like understand it, but very internally. Like I'm not going outside. I'm not getting more information. I'm just like spiraling from what I already know, which is not helpful.
Yeah.
So I don't know why I just but I don't know. I feel like one effective thing is to engage in something physical, and I think it could just be as simple as like walking. I really enjoy walking because I feel like when I'm walking, it actually helps me process things a little bit instead of like staying at home. Because I don't know, I think it's just like a body.
Maybe I should start doing that.
Yeah.
Because I think when I start overthinking, I'm just in my head, in my bed as well. And I'm just like overthinking, thinking.
Yeah.
And then just to shut everything off, I like just put on a podcast.
Yep.
But then I zone out of the podcast and I'm still overthinking.
Yeah.
Like I think stepping out of the house and the environment would be a good way.
Yeah. Not
Good
easy
advice.
though because it's during winter right now, but
Tell me about it.
but it's fun, Go walk. But anyhow, everyone, thank you for listening once again. Hope you have a lovely live or weekend if this is released on a weekend. With that, thank you, Sanya, for coming on to the podcast once again.
Thank you.
It's been an absolute pleasure to host. Stay tuned for the next episode.
Bye.
All right, bye. It's so long.